Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Vince McSham with you here, and once again we are going to climb inside the creator's studio, and joining me tonight will be Karl. We're going to get into all the details of Karl's channel. You've probably seen some of his work already. If you haven't, you need to go check it out. We're going to go down just a little bit of this stuff, but once again I want to thank you first and foremost for taking time to join me this afternoon.
Of course, of course, of course.
And just get to know a little bit about what's going on here. But so far, as I'm just scrolling through one more time, and it looks like you dabble in a little bit of everything, which is what I like, and makes you, I think, stand out in many ways. But I see some old school Batista, old school Cena that you've done thus far, and there was one in particular. Was it Bad Bunny? Is that who I saw with the Guardians of the Galaxy with Star-Lord?
Yeah, there was I think I took that tweet down. There's one with Star-Lord.
Yep.
There's Bad Bunny. There was also
Tyson Fury? That's what I thought. Okay. And then there's one up above. One above that was with a dude wearing a black leather jacket with white clown face kind of paint going on.
Yeah.
Who's that?
It's Playboy Cardi. He's like a new gen rapper.
Okay. I figured it had to be an entertainer. I just hadn't been familiar with it. Looking at that, and again, this is the detail in there, but the one that had first grabbed my attention that, put you on my map was when I saw the AJ Styles that was based on the old TNA video game. Tell me a little bit about how that came along.
For the longest time, the TNA Impact video game was so underrated to me, like in terms of like just how it looked, like stylistically, that was probably one of my favorite games ever. Like people could say that it was bad, but back then, probably like I was a late comer into video games anyway. So like 2012, I still had the PS2. So I had the TNA Impact game for PS2, and that was the only game that I played for like 2 years straight. Wow. So for the longest time, that was the wrestling game in my head. That was my reference points for almost everything wrestling. Like Suicide is my favorite wrestler for the longest time. Anyways, that's a different conversation, but that's what I came about. So I was like, so now that I have these new systems, I basically just go back and create some of my favorite things from like back in the day. Just so like AJ Styles is probably one of my favorite wrestlers to use in that game. So I was like, I'm just gonna create this model. So like, I just did it. I don't know how else to describe it.
You did a hell of a job with it, because I got to be honest with you, when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, he figured a way how to mod that thing in somehow, and I'm like, how the hell did you do it through different platforms? And then I saw it was uploaded on Community Creations, and I'm like, well, how the hell did he do that? And then I downloaded it, and I was like, oh, snap. He made that shit.
Yeah.
Amazing job on that thing. I just couldn't get over it. And
thank you, boss.
No, thank you. I enjoyed that very much. It's one of the things, like, if I get bored sometimes, I'll just go through randomly and look at stuff, and as soon as something grabs my attention, open it up, see what the other stuff is that the creator is put out there as well, the other content. And sometimes I can get just lost window shopping through different people's works. So I
swear, Community Creations is crazy. This game has one of the best creation suites. Like WWE series is like miles ahead of other games that should have great creation suites.
Yeah, I agree. It does have
I'll
a solid
give them
one.
credit for that.
Which of all the 2K games, so far as WWE history is going, which creation suite do you prefer the most? Is this the best one for you?
19 or 14. Either 19 or 14.
Wow, really? So far, I've interviewed a couple of people, and nobody has said 22 for creation, which I'm a little surprised, because I kind of feel in some ways anyway that it's stronger, but I also see the other elements where it drops off a little bit.
See, I would say 22, but in terms of lighting, like in-game lighting.
Yes.
See, I know we're talking about creating in general, but I feel like that kind of has you have to put that on the same like box. You know what I mean?
Right, because if you create it and then you put it in the game, and then it looks like crap, then what was the point in doing it? It's kind of like them saying, "Oh, we have great reviews because our video or our game looks so impressive." It does. It just crashes every 2 minutes, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. See, I recently upgraded to the PS5 version of the game.
Uh-oh.
I haven't eaten for the last 2 weeks because I bought a PS5, and I mean that's okay,
Oh, it hasn't crashed on you there?
No, not at all, not once.
Wow. But, not even when you.
The PS4 version.
Yeah.
Sorry
No,
about that. The PS4 version crashed on me, I think, every 30 minutes. And sometimes if I'd open up Create a Superstar, it'd just crash.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
workaround
I
has
don't think
been
it was.
the workaround for that has basically been you have to save all your data, delete the game, reinstall the game, and then it's good for a week or so.
A week. Nice.
Yeah. So now I just kind of once a week on my own, I just make a backup save, delete the game, reinstall it while I sleep, just to get ahead of the curve. It's pretty interesting the way 2K makes games that you have to find new ways just to play.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a hassle. You don't want to have to go through that every other week.
You don't, but I haven't heard anything about a new patch coming out anytime soon. I figure they have to be working on one. They can't leave it like this.
Yeah, there's a few issues with the game, but I'm satisfied for the most part this year.
Okay, well that's good to know. I'm sure they'll like hearing that from somebody. So let me ask you this: do you have any background in art? Do you have any kind of artistic background? I had a feeling, like I said, when I saw the diversity in what you were doing, is that he must have some form of training in it. So, what does that look like? What have you been doing?
I don't have a formal. I don't have a formal art education. Like I don't think most arts do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my mom always said I kind of just drew things, and I got better as I got older. So I just taught myself more things, and then I eventually got into graphic design and stuff like that on Photoshop and things like that. Because after maybe the lack of formal education got me bored with it, but there's a lot of other techniques that I haven't learned in traditional art yet. So I just moved to Photoshop because I got bored with traditional art, doing photorealism and stuff like that. So I kind of moved into Photoshop, got good at that, and then now I'm kind of like, what Blender is? Are you familiar with Blender?
I've heard of it. I've never explored it.
Yeah, now I'm kind of getting into 3D modeling, like kind of like Joe mashups and stuff like that.
I've seen those.
Yeah, so I'm kind of getting into that now. Still doing the donut tutorials. There's a big time donut tutorial guy on YouTube. So yeah, that's what I'm getting into. I'm just trying to find new ways to be creative,
and that's how you push the envelope.
WWE games has always been a constant.
Indeed. How long have you been into the WWE games, for example? Like, do you remember the first title you bought?
See, the first game that I played, I left the country for a while when I was younger, so I came back in like 2010-ish.
Okay.
The first game that I bought was TNA Impact.
Right.
PS2.
Which, by the way, I don't think that's a bad title at all, especially for its time, but I still think it holds up decent. And they did they did Ultimate X matches. I mean, who's doing that?
Nobody.
And it's not bad.
The game was so unique. That's the thing. The game is, look, I get people can be like, oh, people had the same moveset. So what? It was fun. The match types were fun and had a nice story mode.
Yeah. And the sound effects were really sharp. I mean, video was good too, but I mean, it sounded. Yeah. When they hit, it banged, man. And that Ultimate X match, I can't say enough how I look back at how far long ago that was, and no one has touched anything even close to that since in wrestling games.
Nope.
I mean, even these ladder matches are the same ones over and over and over again.
I was gonna say, you think that they'd find some way to like use a variation of like an Ultimate X match in like a game, right?
Yeah, like somebody hanging off the briefcase gets speared off the top turnbuckle or something.
Literally.
I mean, they've done it in real wrestling, so why can't you put it in the game? But anyway. Right now, I'm afraid for them to add anything to the game because it might crash more.
Crash. Hey, that's why they took out advanced entrances, right?
Exactly. Well, that and a few things. They're taking out quite a few things. The more I play it, the more I realize, because now a lot of us have to still go back to 2K19, especially streamers, if you want to put together something that doesn't totally suck. And as I'm dabbling in 2K19, I'm remembering, they took this out. Which I get they started up a whole new engine and everything, and they kind of almost starting from the ground up, but I don't know. It just seems like some of the stuff could have stayed in there. It didn't all have to get cut.
Oh, for sure. I remember even like 10 years ago, like advanced entrances, you can pick your own camera angles that you wanted to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
stuff like that just goes away for no reason.
Well, they create a story mode, and the thing that kills me is even this year they have the cutscenes available if you want to make a video. You can't even make
Yep.
the video the way you did last year and the year before, where okay, you go through the videos and you put your cast in, you put the arena in or whatever setting it's in. Then you were able to preview it, which would go full screen. Then you can record and capture that to make a story. Well, this year, you don't get the full screen. It just shows up on that little quarter section of the screen. So you'd have to expand it, crop it up, and by doing that, now it's pixelated. It looks like crap. It's like you couldn't even give us a chance to, like, preview it?
It's stuff like that that I don't get. Like, it's little things that you think make common sense. Like, you know what I mean? Just, like, stuff like that would be a given. Like, even in, like, going back to create a video, like, you know how sometimes you have to chop up too large, like if you want to make like a Titantron for like a real superstar,
Right.
you have to chop the image up into two images and then like slice them together, and you can't even see the other one. You just kind of have to play a guessing game a little bit.
Yeah, I don't even bother. For me, it's like you see so little of it that I'm not going to spend all that extra time. I know I've seen people do them, and I've seen them come out looking really sharp, but my goodness, that's a lot of work for a 5-second entrance.
Literally.
So I'll just take something that looks good enough.
Yeah.
So far as wrestling is concerned, how long have you been watching, and do you remember the first match you ever saw that got you to watch it some more?
I've been watching since, like I said, since I came back to the country. But I had to kind of go back and check and like kind of like be kind of like a historian, kind of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Go back and see. So like the first match I saw was kind of like an old YouTube clip. It was like 360p of like Jeff Hardy versus RVD in a ladder match.
Oh, that's not a bad place to start. I can see why you stuck with it.
So like, yeah, RVD is my favorite wrestler ever. So it's like when I saw that became it. That was really I think Jeff Hardy versus RVD in that ladder match was the first wrestling match that I actually watched, and then from there I kind of dove into the rabbit hole and just got stuck.
What a perfect way of putting it. Oh man, no, those two guys complement each other's styles so well, and
so well.
It's an amazing, and of course RVD will be in the game shortly. Got to wait another month or two, but. He'll be in the game, which long overdue to have him back. So
thank God.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I've seen some people make some really good calls in the meantime, but I said, well, I'm almost tied up with all my slots right now, so I'm just going to wait for the stuff that's dropping for it to come out.
That's exactly what I said. And because I was going to make him before I found out he was a DLC, and I was like, no, if the real model is going to be in the game soon, I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah, I agree with that. So far as upcoming stuff, we've got on the 17th, we've got the Mankind, or Cactus Jack more accurately, Vader, and Indy Hartwell, a couple other names. Anything in particular that you're most looking forward to for that?
Vader and Indy Hartwell.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Vader's another one that was sad. Not only was he gone last year, but they took the mask.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, y'all couldn't just leave the mask in. We'll make him.
I was gonna say they take away unnecessary parts. They started doing that this year too. What's the status? He posted there taking out attire parts like Becky Lynch's WrestleMania 35 attire, and he ran randomly for no reason. I guess it was for what's that mode called? The new mode.
I know what you're talking about.
Faction.
Yeah. It's all about the money.
Yeah, so I guess
they want people to pay the money.
Taking it away so it can be like a My Faction unlockable or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I said every patch they've done, for the most part, the majority of the patch has been geared at fixing My Faction. And everyone's like, well, what about this? And what about Universe? They don't care about that. They don't make money on that.
I was going to say, My Faction's their next like big mode to make money. Their money maker right there.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, which is confusing. Which confused me as to why they didn't make it like an online mode, you know?
Well, 2K is notorious when it comes to transactioning people.
Yep.
So nobody should be at all surprised about that. I heard Stephanie's press conference or owner's conversation for the quarterly reports, how the game has been critically received, and it's like, not so much critically, no. It's been received well financially. You guys made a lot of money off of this thing because, we went a year and a half without one and figured in that much time you must have got it right. But I think critically it's been panned pretty well across the board.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do as a consumer, right?
Yeah, well, the smart ones waited for the rest of us to tell them how it was working, which the first few days they sold me. I said, no, this isn't so bad. They seem like they've definitely moved in the right direction, and I was feeling good about the game until
you got your hands on it and got a good week.
Yeah, after I put a roster together, it crashed and took it all with it.
Yep.
That's why now I back up every day. I do a backup save of my files so that if it crashes again, at least I have my most recent rosters and my most recent progress in the universe mode, because that's really all I deal with is universe.
See, that's the thing. I've always wanted to get into universe mode. I know there's not a proper way to set it up, but I need to know. I have to play it to find out the appeal. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's fun because you're your own promoter now. You book the matches you want, the stipulations you want. You can make your own matches, of course, so you can create matches that aren't even in the game currently, and you can do one of two different things. You can watch them play out, or you can play them out, or you can actually just simulate them and see what the outcome turns out to be. The one thing they changed this year is because they took away promos, they've added more of the in-game events. So now if you're doing an episode of SmackDown, you'll probably have more run-ins or double crosses or things like that than you would have had in any of the prior titles, because they have to make up for you have to tell a story on this feud, and you're not going to do it in words.
Yeah. I got you.
So it is what it is.
I wish they could, yeah. To be honest with you, since this game came out, I can probably count on my two hands how many matches I've played, full matches.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
So you're just busy creating.
Yeah, I think it's about 6 or 7 full matches.
See, now that's the thing about this game that I'll give them credit for. There are so many different people, and every time I talk to different people, I get different responses. That's the first one I've heard of that, but it makes sense. Some people just like a game where you can create. I was big into Disney Infinity for a while, and that's a game where you could just make anything you could imagine. And there was a lot of people that wanted it.
Good game.
It was. No, it was. It still is. I mean, it works and everything. You just don't have a way of sharing your work anymore, and that's where it took the fun out of it for me.
Yeah.
But the same logic with this, you can create characters, you can create arenas, you can do the face textures, which I saw you did a couple of those as well. I saw, what was it, Triple H and The Rock.
Yeah, I was gonna start actually giving doing some freebies, some every week or two, just dropping a couple of face textures of some random characters. Next week I was gonna do Negan and somebody else.
Negan's my man. I got a statue of him right here on my left.
I love Negan.
Oh yeah,
man. It's one of my favorite characters in that series.
I actually just got seasons 1 through 5 in the mail today because I canceled my Netflix. I was like, what do I need Netflix for? It says Walking Dead. Screw it, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, Netflix. I'm not gonna be a part of the crowd, the crowd that's saying Netflix is going down the drain. But man,
they're just too expensive.
They made recently.
Yeah, that too. But they're expensive too, and not for nothing. I mean, they had that one movie they put out there a year or so ago with these little girl dancers that was sexualized and all that, and I'm like, no.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember what it was called or anything, but it's like, no, y'all are going crazy now.
So who okayed this?
They did.
They had to have multiple meetings where people said yes to that.
Yeah.
Multiple times, not just once.
Yeah, that's what I said. As this went pretty high up the ladder and somebody signed off on it. And let's say it didn't. Let's just say there's somebody's job in programming that doesn't go all the way up to the top of the ladder. When the feedback on that started hitting, it was national news. So that point in time, the guy on top of the ladder definitely is aware of it.
Literally.
It is what it is. All right, so we talked about universe mode. I'm going to put you in universe mode. If you had to book any match at all, any match you want, who would it be? There's no wrong answers, man.
There's no wrong answer, so I'll take a safe one.
Okay.
I'll be safe. Maybe like an early 2000s Shawn Michaels.
Ooh.
Against Kenny Omega, you know?
Wow. That is a good match. So we're talking about Heartbreak Kid shortly after he put Marty Jannetty through the window.
Like I'm talking like right there.
Yeah. That would be a match.
Yeah. At first I was thinking, you know, I was thinking about I was really thinking about O2 Lesnar though, for a second.
Ooh. The one that busted up Hogan's ribs.
He used to sell pretty well, you know?
Yeah, he didn't have to sell too well. He was just crushing everybody.
Yeah. But whenever he took a choke slam from the Big Show Undertaker, he'd sell it like he took a choke slam from one of them, you know?
You better, otherwise he'll come after you for real.
Wrestler's Court. It's crazy.
That was funny too. All right, so here's another one for you. I want you to think about this for a moment. Out of all of the creations that you've made this year, past years, all of them, got them all in your head, I'm sure, right now. Out of all of them, there's some unfortunate virus going through. It's going to wipe out all of your content. You won't be able to keep any of it except for one. Which one do you save?
Which one do I save? All the ones I've released, right? Or the ones that you guys know about? Or?
No, anything. Whatever you have possession of that you created, it's all going to be gone except for one.
It might be an oddball answer, but I have actually. It's Kofi Kingston. I got to keep that one.
Kofi Kingston. And what year are we talking about?
08.
In 08? So that was back. Yeah. He was was he in the game at that point, or it was created because he wasn't?
Oh, I made a 08 Kofi Kingston in this game.
Oh, this year's game. Okay. Gotcha. So you went old school with Kofi. Oh, was that the one that I saw where you were like, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it?
Yeah, but I found a new texture for it. I found the craziest reference, like a really good one. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make this and maybe not release it. Just keep making teasers on Twitter, you know.
Teasers on Twitter. Hey, whatever works, man. You got to get the people in the door.
Yeah. People keep asking me about a dang Evan Bourne and a Brock Lesnar call. It's never going to happen.
Evan Bourne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I previewed one.
I was going to say, I thought I saw something about that up there, and it looked pretty damn good, too.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. It's never going to see the light of day.
Now, why is that?
I don't know. I just like doing that stuff, you know.
Just like teasing people.
Yeah, it's funny.
Well, you know what? The stuff that does go out is really, really solid. And like I said, that AJ Styles really just jumped out at me, and I really thought for sure it was modded. And then when I see it in community creations, I'm like, how in the hell did that happen? And then when I find out it wasn't modded, I was just like, okay, got to delve into this guy a little bit more and see what else he's doing, because that's amazing work right there.
Thanks again. You know.
No, my pleasure. Did you also do a Samoa Joe from that same time frame?
Yes, I did a Samoa Joe. I'll tell you a list of calls that I have coming out within the next few weeks, because I did say I was going to stop doing AEW and WWE guys, because there's too much overlap between me and other creators.
Right. Yeah.
Like when I did the Batista, I saw a couple, like 3 other Batistas that same day. I was like, we all have the same mind at this point, so it's like I have to do something else. So I have Beer Money done from again TNA Impact game.
Mm-hmm.
Beer Money. I got the Samoa Joe, same attire from the game. Pretty much my references are from the game, as I said before.
See, that's where I think you don't overlap so much, because you are really replicating that game. And what I think is cool about it is if you were doing, how many were in that game? What was the roster, like 20 people?
Yeah, 20 people.
Something like that.
It was a really small roster.
Right. Well, back then, that was actually a big roster for a video game back then.
Yeah.
But if you were just doing even 10 of those in the same attires with the same look and all that, it's kind of like you're doing the TNA pack from that game. And then people that remember it fondly, which is pretty much, I think, most of us, would be able to almost import that game into this game. And, you know, the only difference being no 6-sided ring, but I never liked that too much anyway.
Honestly, that's not a bad idea at all.
Oh, thank you. There you go.
That's not a bad idea at all.
Run with that.
I'm stealing that. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize, man. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Like I said, I've been getting really into Impact lately. They've just really rostered up well. I wish they'd do a better job of advertising, because like they're going to be right here where I work next week, and they haven't sold out 500 seats, and that's all it's going to hold is 500. But I'm like, guys, I watched last week's episode, and for about 15 seconds there was a thing on the screen saying, "Hey, we're going to be in Florida next week." That's it. I mean, most people watch stuff on delay so they can fast forward through stuff. So if somebody fast forwarded, they missed that. What's
the name takes WWE takes any chance they can get to advertise their next shows.
Yes, and they have to, because you can't sit through the program.
Yeah,
it's unwatchable. Somehow, though, the pay-per-views generally, or the premium events, I beg your pardon, they generally aren't bad. Like last night's show wasn't so bad. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, the card looked really underwhelming. I'm not gonna lie.
But it rose though, for the most part. I mean, I can't watch as Happy Corbin no matter what, and I like Baron Corbin. I just wish to God they'd go back to the lone wolf, let him be a badass biker, and let him run with that. You know, put a bike gang with him or something. But this Happy Corbin is crap. He's got an awesome finisher. He's a monster of a guy. Don't get me started.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm upset that Drew McIntyre was the one to kick out at the end of the day. It's like,
yeah, that's right.
I think it should have been protected for a while, for longer. You know what I mean?
Well, they don't protect too much anymore, unfortunately. There was a day, I remember Jesse Ventura doing an interview where he said, back in the day, if your finisher's a pile driver and you hit the pile driver, the match is over. There's no kicking out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Why would you? I mean, either the match is or the match isn't.
That's how I felt about super kicks after a really long time.
Yeah, those have gone the way of the dodo. It's like Shawn Michaels would stop everybody, and now everybody hits 20 in a row.
Literally. Super kick parties, right?
Everybody's got bruises on their thighs.
Thigh slaps. When I first, honestly, I thought, like when I, back to what you were saying about Impact though, from 2010 to like 2012-ish, I think Impact was probably my favorite wrestling show on TV.
Yeah.
TNA Impact.
TNA was good. It's everybody goes through waves. You know, they go up and they go down, peaks and valleys, but not like Impact. Impact has been so extreme. I remember when they first came on the scene, it was like every other Wednesday, it was a pay-per-view for like $8. And I was paying them the money because I just wanted somebody else to choose from. And I wanted them to do well. And that's back when Jeff Jarrett was running the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when AJ was there from day one. When they lost him, that was a real thing. And but back then they had some talent that you could see that there was potential, and then they kind of mix in some wrestling names that you definitely recognize. They would pop in a little bit here and there. Piper would do an appearance. Dusty Rhodes would be there for a couple episodes, whatever the case may be. Their first champion ever was Ken Shamrock, so that brought some legitimacy because everybody knew him from UFC, and I think it was before his WWE run, but don't quote me on that. It might have been after. But again, they had enough. They had Rocky Romero in there and a few other guys like that. It was a good mix. It wasn't always the greatest show you've ever seen, but it was $8, and you knew you were supporting an up and coming organization, and we had to have something else. So,
alternative, right?
Yeah, and they got a lot better for a while. Back in the day when Samoa Joe was the X Division champion, you had this near 300-pound guy diving over the top rope and doing insane stuff. And they were telling you at that time it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. And he was the one that made that legitimate. Anybody can say it. But when you have a guy like him doing the same stuff as AJ, that lends a lot of credence to it. And at that point, they had Christopher Daniels, you had James Storm, Bobby Roode. The list goes on. They had a roster of talent.
Thing is about Samoa Joe is he actually has wrestling skill too, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. Like a lot of you never hear about 300-pounders that can actually move the way he does and have skill. You know, they can either move or they're just really like big. You know what I mean?
We call those almost.
Yeah. No, I was just about to say.
That was pathetic that he beat Bobby Lashley. I'm sorry.
Man, dude. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Bobby Lashley doesn't age, though. That's the craziest thing to me still to this day.
He's still a beast.
He doesn't age. You can't tell that he's almost 50.
You know, I never even thought about it. But, yeah, I guess he probably is getting pretty close to that. Doesn't look it.
Not at all. Think he's older than Brock? Yep, he's older than Brock.
Wow. See, now Brock's still a beast, don't get me wrong, but he's starting to look just a little bit like he's getting up to that point where, okay, he's not going to probably be the beast for much longer. He's probably got a little more time left. But I can see him, I can see him now returning some favors.
That LeBron syndrome right now. He's got that.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Oh, man.
I'd wish COVID on you before LeBron syndrome. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Yeah. One of the last questions I like to ask people, and this show that I do here was based on a TV show called Inside the Actors Studio years ago, which basically they would have name Hollywood actors come in and sit down and talk to a whole class of future directors, writers, actors, things like that. And the host would always ask one question at the very end, which I loved. And now I ask that same question to people here. And that question is, if there is a God and the day comes where you go to the pearly gates, what do you want to hear him say to you?
I don't know. Hope he doesn't. Actually, you know what? It's not important. I don't really have anything that I want him to say to me specifically that will be important or anything.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing is, I just want him to confirm that I'm not a waste of space, you know?
That's
and
cool.
It's not as depressing as it sounds, right?
No,
you know
but I get it.
That? You know why I say that?
Why?
I'm almost... Okay, this might give away who I am to if my friends just happen to hear this somehow. You know what I mean?
Well, unless you tell them about
it.
Unless you tell them about this, I don't know if they watch my channel or not.
Yeah, but I'm almost 6'8", right?
Damn.
I'm almost 6'8", and you know the number one thing I hear about me as a person?
Do you play basketball?
That, and my friends, they know I'm good at basketball. I just didn't want to play it. And you know what they call me, right?
Shorty.
A waste of space.
Oh, that's terrible.
I just need God to confirm that I'm not a waste of space once I get there. You know what I mean?
I think he's going to take care of that for you. Don't worry about it.
You know,
there's better things in this world than basketball. I coached it for 16 years, so it has a place in my heart, and it always will. But I always found that interesting. Every time, and every coach I ever knew, they'd be walking through a mall or whatever, and they see some tall kid and say, "Hey, you play basketball?" And I just look at him and I said, "Let me ask you a question. If you see a midget walking by, do you look at him and ask him if he plays miniature golf?" I mean, just because someone's tall. But of course, I'd ask the same question. So,
I mean, this is a fair question. It's not every day where you see somebody that's 6'7", right? You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
Exactly. So I'm not mad at the question, but it's like, don't call me a waste of space. You know what I mean? I had a guy pull me over at my job one time, just yell at me for like 30 minutes. Like, you don't want to be here forever. You go play basketball. I'm like, dude, I'm a college student. Leave me alone.
I do have other plans, and might not come across to you that I'm doing this job today and maybe have plans 4 years from now for something better. But, yeah, thanks for being interested.
I was going to say, right. I was about to say, at least you're kind of invested into, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've long ago learned to throw away what anyone else has to say or think about me or what I do. And I just do. Again, I was coaching 16 years. Most of that I was coaching teenage girls. So go figure, the rumors that would run around about me. And I could have easily I could have easily turned around and said, you know what, I'm not going to coach because I don't need this, innuendo hanging over me. And I was like, screw it. Let them say what they're going to say. Let them think what they're going to think. And at the end of the day, God knows my heart and what I'm doing.
I was going to say, shoot. I mean, that would be tough for anybody, but as long as it's, like you said, as long as you know who you are, it just doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But I also, if we are closing, I want to take this opportunity to first. I'm going to say thanks. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Thanks. And also the most important thing I want to say is I want WWE games to listen. If they are listening somehow, somebody got. I'm gonna find this video and screen record it.
Okay.
Let us make Hornswoggle. That's all I want to do. Listen, let us make Hornswoggle. Let us make somebody 3'6". That's all I want.
How many years ago was he part of the game where he actually did pop out from under the ring? That was THQ, I think. That was even before 2K. It was.
Yeah.
We're going to SmackDown versus Raw dates.
2011 was the last time I remember him being in the game.
Yeah, because Finley would have been there too then.
Yep.
I remember that.
I think he had to unlock Finley. I'm not sure.
I don't remember that. I just do remember that he would have that periodic thing where he'd pop out from under the ring, and I think he left the club behind or something like that to use as a weapon or something.
Yeah, they have to let us make Hornswoggle.
Well, if enough people hear this and enough people say they want Hornswoggle, then maybe they'll listen to the masses.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I want
Hornswoggle cult going.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time to hang with me and talk a little bit and let us see behind the curtain of the stuff that you produce. You're able to check out the work by going to Twitter if you want to get a little heads up on when stuff is happening. And it's at Kahlua, which is KAAALUA, which was by coincidence the name of my best friend's dog growing up, only it was named after the adult beverage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so you can go to Twitter and see him there, or what's the easiest tag for them to find any of your work that's already been posted? Do you have one go-to tag?
Yeah, hashtag IKEAKarl.
Okay, so that's the IKEAKARL.
Yep.
Okay, IKEAKarl. So between those two, IKEAKarl will get you on the Creators Suite, and you can find him from Community Creations there. And once again, you can find him at Kahlua on Twitter. And, of course, I'll post all that down below for you guys. So thank you so much for spending some time here inside the Creator Studio. Hope you've had a good time. I have, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from some of the fans here that watch the shows because they like finding out more about the creators as well.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. We'll do it again. We'll let a little time go by and more creations come in. We'll bring you back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
All right, you too, bro.
All right. Take care.